Today's chat is brought to you by, well, all of your support. Through the patronage you provide the Focus Fire chat team through Podbean's crowdfunding, we are able to provide you with the weekly podcast as well as the website and other aspects of Focus Fire chat. If you have any interest in becoming a patron of the FFC, please be sure to visit our website and click on the support link. Even a single dollar helps, and for those of you who are already patrons, thank you again for your generosity.
You may have heard the whispers of guardians gathering in the shadows, exploring the mysteries of this world and the worlds which surround us. We are all in search of truth. Sometimes we need to focus that search. Focus that fire. And so we come together. Welcome to Focused Fire Chat.
Welcome to Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on April 22nd, 2020 over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. As always, want to give a big shout out to our live chat here with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us once again. This week's episodes are going to be focused around exploring updates to what we know about the character of Osiris. This particular episode will serve as what we have come to call the intro session of the week's exploration. Before we go any further, however, let's run through a quick introduction of who we all have with us on the show. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86.
And I am the brownie-sized barbarian green-eyed music lover. It's true. It's funny because it's true.
Anyways. And last but definitely not least, in the hot seat as guest co-host, we have our good friend Taylor B. Taylor, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Happy to be here, you guys.
Yeah, it's about time we got you on here, or tricked you on here, or you tricked us on. I don't know how that works.
There was some trickery involved.
A little bit. Some trading, some bargaining.
So, usual introductory question for you, Trey. I need to learn how to talk again. Has it been that long since we've done this? Where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me. I'm the host of the Spinfoil Theory podcast, proud member of the Lore Network. We are available on every major platform, Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, whatever your flavor is. You can find us on Twitter at Spinfoil Theory, or email us at spinfoiltheory@gmail.com. You can find me personally on Twitter at thisisredleader, Litre, all one word.
Yes. All right, Taylor. It's been a while. It's been a long, long time.
A long week?
It has been a long week. It has, and it's Wednesday, which is weird. Hello, future people. We are recording this on Wednesday, so this is not going to be your normal kind of show for sure. But
these are strange quarantines we live in.
These are strange quarantines.
I like that.
The quarantines of our lives, because it's all a soap opera anymore. But here's what I want to know. What is your favorite lore story from Destiny?
Ooh, so for me, I really love the Vex, but what really drew me into that was Kabir's Fire Team. I think that's what really first sort of drew me into Destiny's lore.
Okay.
And it's really funny. So I had just done the raid, and I was a student at the time, and I was in class, and it was just a really boring class. And back then, the Grimoire, you could only read the cards outside of the game. And so, like, I would sit in class when I was bored and just read all my Grimoire cards that I'd never actually looked at.
Nice.
Nice.
That was the thing that really, like, sort of sold me on the background stories of Destiny. But Kabir's Fire Team is probably my favorite. And also, like, this might be an unpopular opinion. I really thought Skolas had a very, like, well written and well put together like story arc as a villain. I thought that was a really great DLC as well.
House of Wolves was not a bad DLC. I don't think.
Wasn't. I wish we had gotten more on it too with the Marine.
I wish
especially.
We would have gotten some more information on how those Fallen are apt to take other technology and use it on their own or use it for their own. But yeah, so would you say that's your preferred story arc on that one?
Yeah, I think Kabir, Fire Team, Pahanin, all those guys are always going to be Pradeath, and if and when Kabir comes back, are always going to be like a very like special spark in my heart. But like day to day, I think the Fallen and their houses are probably my greatest interest.
I gotcha.
In game, like while I'm playing.
I gotcha. All right, so we have Guardian games going on right now, so there's a very important question that we always ask everybody, but it's almost more important now. What is the class that you primarily play?
I am a hunter main. I am a gunslinger main. So Way of the Outlaw. For me, right now I'm really loving that we got sticky grenades back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wearing my young Aras, and I am turning so many people into lovely, lovely unicorns.
You know what I love is not only are sticky grenades good again, the spike grenades seem to be better. Like, I've actually been able to use them in Crucible, be able to use them like they're intended against a wall, and do some major damage, especially on, I think it's Fragment, that map that has B inside a weird circular dome area. Yeah, so you can nail a spike grenade on the back, one of the void ones, on one of the back walls, and just take out so many people who are trying to get to that heavy spot.
Yo, I dig that. I did not know that, because I honestly play the other classes so infrequently unless there's a bounty involved. That any like improvements or changes that are made to them, I'm usually the last one to know.
Yeah, that's the only one that I really knew about.
I have like two classes that I play. I either play Night Stalker in PvE or Blade Barrage in PvP. And it's like,
okay.
Like, I'm just like, and that's mostly just because I don't have to think about it. I have no shame in admitting that either.
I will say, and this is totally anecdotal to add to like weird things. I feel like if you're running 6-shooter, I feel like that trip mine throwing knife lasts a little longer too.
Oh yeah, the weighted.
If you're wearing
knife?
the Yahang Kara spines, I feel like it lasts a little longer too, because I keep doing this thing, especially in 6s. Like I'm not so great in trials, but like I'm in 6s. I keep like laying little traps for people, and I keep thinking like, man, that knife is lasting way longer than I ever like remember it like, doing before.
Yeah, it's kind of nice though. It's like the same length of time that I think the hammers are for Titans right now. Possibly. All right, so that's all of like the normal questions. I actually wanted to ask you about your podcast. It's the Spinfoil podcast a bit, because not a lot of people have heard of it, I don't think yet, unless they're adamant people of the Lore Network. So I want you to take us through what you like to do when it comes to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. So the Spinfoil Theory podcast is just a sort of a 20 to 30 minute short form weekly approach to various Spinfoil theories within the Destiny universe. And really what we go for is just to kind of have fun with the lore. So we're a little bit of an advanced theory podcast in that, unlike you guys, we don't really teach. We just kind of have fun with the subjects that we sort of assume, like lore fans, like the fans of your show would be familiar with to begin with. So what we try to do, and Green was a great host of our show, you guys, first special guest we ever had.
Yes.
So what we try to do is we'll take a theory that we see popped up on various forums or what have you, and we try to dissect it a little bit. We try to see if we think it's plausible, and then, depending on the outcome of the first two parts of that, we'll see if like what we would have to do to make it work. So it's a lot of fun to record, just because you get to be creative within the universe of one of your favorite games. In my case, Destiny, and you get to sort of review the different ideas that fans have about the lore, and you get to sort of give your 2 cents about it. So if you're a fan of Spinfoil theories, if you're a fan of stuff that's a little out there, maybe not necessarily confirmed, and you're wondering what the deal is, how plausible is that, I think we might have a place for you in our podcast, just because we cover a lot of different things, very broad. We try to move around our different subjects, and we're at about we're pretty new. So if you haven't heard of us, please don't feel bad.
Yeah.
We're pretty new, but we're about I think we just recorded our 14th episode tonight.
Nice.
And that'll be released on Sunday. And yeah, we plan to keep it going. We even have just, due to these quarantines, as we sort of remarked on earlier, we're planning to do a couple little other special things like we did with Green, just to get a little extra content out there.
You know what I really love about the format that you guys choose to do? I know you say that you're not really taking it super, super serious from the lore perspective, but when you're theory crafting, you do have to approach the story in a different way. So you really get an appreciation for the finer tuned things on how something could be possible, or how to research something to where things that we're predicting ahead of time would theoretically work. You're doing a writer's exercise and trying to figure out ways it could work. That's really kind of a cool way to approach it. And you really have to know your lore to be able to do something like that convincingly.
I really appreciate that. When I first started posting on Destiny lore with my total spinfoil theories and like my various posts, which is actually what got me on to you guys, was interacting with your post there. At the time, I did quality assurance. And so a lot of what I did kind of played into my like spinfoil theory stuff, was just because I would look at what works, what the process is, and then you can take those rules and kind of apply it to theory.
Absolutely.
And especially in a writing sense, it was it was an easy progression for me to sort of transition that over into one of my favorite hobbies.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice that you are able to do that and share that with other people in such a really fun format. So I'm glad that you guys have started doing that. I think it's a long overdue venue to have something more like that out there.
I really appreciate that, and I hope anyone who checks us out, please add us, please reach out to us if there's anything you think we're missing, or if there's any points of view you think we're not really covering in some of our subjects. Like, we are totally open, and we will 100% do retractions and restatements to things in future episodes.
Shout out the name of it one more time before we kind of go into community stuff for the week.
Yeah, so it's the Spinfoil Theory podcast, Twitter at Spinfoil Theory, spinfoiltheory@gmail.com, Podbean, the Spinfoil Theory podcast.
Awesome. All right, Blue.
Yes.
Guess what?
What?
It's community time.
What's a community?
Or that's fair. And these
yes.
Asking the hard question. All right. So this week, Guardian Games dropped, right?
Oh no.
Correct.
Right. So
oh no.
I haven't asked anything of the community. I'm a little afraid to, because
what? Why would this start a salt war?
Oh my gosh. This is a question
Yesterday was a fun day to watch Twitter.
God. Oh my god. Here's what I want to do. I want to ask you guys who are live with us in chat. I want to ask Blue and Taylor. And for those of you in the future, looking back upon these times and laughing because of all the joyous fun we had during Guardian Games, what do you think of it right now? What is good about Guardian Games, and what is constructively not good?
I think it'd be cool if it weren't by itself.
What do you mean?
Like, if you look at like content released this season, you have like all the bunker stuff and the different things that you did, and like the most recent was the most recent like update they had to the season was the third bunker being open, and then like sort of this week they're like, okay, now go like send all the things into space now that the third bunker's done. I feel like if this weren't released by itself in that chain of events, if this were sort of like, if this had been done at the beginning of the season when everything's kind of new, I think it would have been much better received, because like on its face, I don't think it's that bad, like a content update. It's a little weird, I think, to what Blue was saying in chat earlier. I think it is a little kind of like, hey, so like we can literally see this thing from space, and you guys want to like do a shot put right now. Like,
it's not like doing a shot put at the thing we see in space. No, it's an actual shot put. Like it's
an actual shot put. We're gonna do a long jump, but not away from anything.
But guys, let me tell you something. Isn't it the perfect time for Savathun to distract the Guardians?
Yes, I know. That's what I mean, Green. That's what I mean. I don't have a legit argument, and it.
For anyone who doesn't know, we had Green on the Spinfoil Theory podcast with this theory, and we couldn't come up with anything like legit. Like we couldn't come up with anything to counter her claim.
No,
that
I don't.
Eva
That's
Levante is another thing.
Yeah, no. As far as we know, like you have more proof than we have anti-proof.
Yes, I am a bunker of proof. Bring me your war mind bits.
No, seriously, she wants the war mind bits because
I'm almost done with bunker 3. I've gotten row 1 done, and all the other bunkers are unlocked. So I have 2 more rows left. But
you gotta do it. You gotta do
the what is it? The lost column.
Yeah, I did.
In columns, not rows.
Okay.
I did.
I love how Taylor and I both are like, no, do columns, not rows.
Well, you do. What I've been doing is I've done the far right column to get the discount,
to drop
right?
the price, yeah.
And then I've been unlocking everything just so I can have something building each time. So I've just been going down the row at that point. So I am doing the smart thing of making it cheaper. I'm just unlocking it 1 level at a time.
So I was a total, because I had to do most of that stuff solo. So as soon as I did to make it cheaper, I went immediately to the Rasputin frame and made it so I could do that everywhere.
Nice.
And then the next one after that, I guess, is you got the Valkyrie, and then everything else I didn't care about because I was like, I can summon this stuff and make it way easier to farm.
Yeah, yeah.
Sort of my mindset there, but it's if you don't have to do it solo, though, I think it makes more sense to do it in a different order. I think there's definitely some credence there.
So what do we think about the clearing the bunkers thing this season? Because one of my biggest...
Sorry.
We really haven't talked this season.
I have a new light quote about that. Actually.
Okay.
Ooh,
so
share.
One of our really good friends has some, how would you say it, colorful insights to situations within Destiny. And his initial reaction to the whole clearing the bunker is like, and I'll bleep myself out, but basically, why the hell are we helping an AI who can't keep his own clean? Like every day he has to, it was like this is the questions that I get sent to me on an hourly basis, and I'm like trying to do work, and he's not wrong. Like I'm like
not wrong.
Well, maybe I'm like, I don't have an answer for you other than game mechanics. Like they have to give us something to do. Is like you're 100% accurate on the reasoning here. It's like, yeah, I got nothing for you.
Do you think because I feel like when we're first clearing out those bunkers in those missions in D1, it was a little more forgivable because he'd been asleep for however long and wasn't even in his whole network.
But the thing is also those were like strikes, so they weren't like, it wasn't like every 24 hours. It was like, the kind of the feeling was...
You did it once canonically?
Yeah, canonically it was like once, maybe twice if it was a revisit strike. And it was like, and they always had like with, I just remember the Saber strike, it was like, no, they actually cracked open the bunk. Like, I mean, they like the Hive had, or the Fallen had actually gone above and beyond to hack into that. Same with Omnigul, where it was like, they had deliberately punched into the bunker, whereas here it's like there's really not even a token explanation of like, oh no, we forgot to close the back door. Just go close the back door. Oh, we forgot the other back door. Like, how many back doors do you have? Like, I'm scared to ask this question, but
I mean, do you really want to know the answer at that point?
No, I don't. Actually, now I feel awkward.
Yeah. As you should. Yeah. So the bunkers are a little weird. I'm still freaking pissed about why there's a stupid bunker on Io when there's no other building on the stupid...
With the subway!
With the subway! What is... Guys!
It's like
Where does that train go? Where does that train go?
I did have somebody in my chat when I was streaming the other day that was like, well, maybe there's like a few buildings in other places that we just haven't been to, which is very possible. Like, sure, but that has more legitimacy in my mind than a frickin' I don't understand a subway that's like 50 feet from the Pyramidion.
So, have y'all ever seen a Dragon Ball Z?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you know King Kai and his little planet where he has that tiny little road that just goes around back to his house?
Yeah, but that's a training
I
road.
think Rasputin has set up because he loves trains that much.
Oh no, he's playing the pain.
Like he's just going back around. Like it's what he does in his downtime in that mind fork.
Oh
just plays trains.
Like, I feel like there's a disconnect happening in the design at that point. Like, guys, please explain this.
Well, it's the multiple man theory. So when his mind was defragmented between the planets, like that one was just like, well, I got this train station.
Well,
I have a sub function for controlling subways, but there's no subway. Siva, make me a subway.
To be fair, there is the bunker on the other side. You
mean the side that takes like 10 minutes to walk to?
Yeah, the Cabal station side. There is a bunker over there. So if we're being fair, there's something over there, but it's really weird.
Chat, recently I've been getting into driving.
Oh yeah, in true King Kai fashion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my favorite part about that is he works on it like it has oil and other things that you need to change, but there is no filling station on his whole planet.
Nope.
He's just driving infinitely.
Oh.
It's just, I digress.
Yes. All right. I don't want to go on. I'm just going to keep.
So Guardian games.
Yeah. Guardian games. Bounties.
I think the medal system is kind of a weird mask for other bounties. A lot of people's complaints that it's basically faction rallies, I kind of disagree with, because faction rallies were a little more you could choose how you played. Like you could wear the faction stuff and you could play Crucible, you could play Strikes, you could do whatever you want. That was about repping your faction and everything. And I think that's kind of what they were aiming for in this, but I think they were also kind of trying to refresh older content.
Yeah. Get people to play things they may not have played in months, like
I think
Gambit,
it's a little weird to make
Forges.
us play the Forges. Yeah, I'm the weird guy who likes Gambit. I'll raise that hand right now.
The thing is the one thing I do like about this is that I haven't played Gambit in a real long time. I actually enjoyed the Gambit matches I played today.
Dude, regular Gambit's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Gambit Prime is painful.
Gambit Prime
is so painful.
You have to have Divinity. Divinity makes everything easier.
That's like playing Crucible without Hardlight.
Right?
Yeah.
That last night I was I do it every day, and it's like every time I play Crucible it's without Hardlight. I don't play with Hardlight. I don't whatever. But like yesterday I actually jumped in and played a little bit, and I got just so frustrated because it's one thing, like I don't care if it's like an archetype thing where it's like bows are really powerful, whatever. You'll still see different combinations. But that particular one does seem, to me, that was a very big frustration, because it was like, it also doesn't help that I keep running into like 6 stacks of Hardlight players, which it's like, well, I'm just going to sit down.
It is
when the entire team has it, it's just...
Yeah. It is fun. It is a lot of fun to use, I will say that.
It's, all right, so like, Full disclosure, I use it especially when I play on PC, because I'm a heathen who plays with a controller on PC.
I do too.
Nice. That's the only way I would.
Yeah, no, dude. Like, I think especially if like you invest in a controller, it's a totally different experience. But that's a different conversation. But I use it just because I have that Crucible Radio mentality. Like, if it's the best thing, use it. Like, use it. Dude, I'm not saying like you shouldn't say it shouldn't be changed. You don't have to love it, but if it's the best thing, use it. Like, do it.
The other thing that I would say is that I played with Man at Arms the other day on PC, and we were using our normal loadouts, which I don't normally use Hardlight. But we were running into some matches where that's all that the other team was using, like you were saying. And so we decided after we got wrecked by these guys in one match that we were going to stay in the queue with them and all put on Hardlights. And we ended up just totally kicking their tails, just wiping the floor with them. And immediately went back to our old loadouts just to say that, we play with what we like. We understand that this is good and we can use it just as well as anybody else. But we're still going to go back and kind of do our own thing. Like, it's okay to play with it when you want to, just for fun. Mm-hmm. If you feel like that's the last resort you've got, go back to it, like Truth and Gambit or Xenophage, because holy moly, that gun.
You know what I like in Gambit right now? Fourth Horseman.
Yeah, it's good.
It melts everything. Everything PvE-wise. I won't say it's the best thing for invaders, but like, oh my god, because I'm a sentry. If you guys knew this about me, I have my jersey.
I rep with you.
Thank you. We need to play some Gambit. We'll have some fun. Because we'll actually stop people from wrecking our team.
Right?
But that thing melts all of the blockers they send. And then when you're saving your heavy, because you should have some heavy for invaders, you can just use it to go run up and melt the boss. Like, it's great. Absolutely great.
It is good. All right. So I think we've kind of filled up the opening section enough of this episode. Let's do a small update for the intro episode, guys, on Osiris. Blue.
Man, it's been, I'm trying to remember. It's been a while, since we've done a full episode on Osiris himself. So just kind of I wrote a quick summary, and I actually have this in the mind map as well. And so there's a lot of information that we've gained in Destiny 2 in general, about specific guardians, and Osiris is no exception to that. And so to kind of go back to one of the original Grimoire cards, it asks, what drives a warlock to madness? Ghosts chose those suited to war and heroism to be reborn. By nature or circumstance, they go to battle against the darkness, and through this battle, they learn how to use the light. But warlocks, by their nature, fight a second internal war. This is the war to understand a universe of secrets, a world that expects guardians to fight without full knowledge of what they are or what they might hope to achieve. A lot of people like that because of the whole "what drives a warlock to madness" piece. But the above excerpt from that card, which is the Osiris card, showcases that which haunts warlock the most is actually knowledge. So as a mighty warrior that fought at the Battle of Six Fronts, Satan 14 requested that the speaker make Osiris the Vanguard mentor for all warlocks. He was actually the first Vanguard mentor for warlocks. This action, however, did not come without a pushback from the Concordat, but with the support of all the others within the consensus, the warlock Osiris was placed as mentor for those of his classification. This is also where you see probably the first, if not the official recognition of classifications within the Risen. And so this allowed Osiris to oversee all activities relating to warlocks as well as other guardians as well. So this is also probably where you can make a pretty strong argument that the group of the Hidden was formed. Shortly following this, Saint 14, who was the Vanguard mentor for Titans and also the first Vanguard commander, stepped down. Actually, it was a day after they announced everything, and then Saint 14 was like, "Yep, okay, cool. I'm gonna go do my crusade."
Nothing to see here.
Yeah, basically, he was like, "All right, cool. That's fun. I'm gonna go off." And so he stepped down, and as the commander, he basically was able to sidestep the consensus and elevate Osiris to Vanguard commander. Which there's a lot of questions on that I have politically, but I don't think I don't think Saint 14 originally intended to do that, even though it might seem a little bit shady. But anyways, however, Osiris actually quickly came to odds with the speaker. He was already kind of at odds with the speaker, but it became much more prevalent and much more noticeable. A large part of that was disagreement on the focus of the energy of the Guardians. The Seekers sought to defensively protect the city and its inhabitants, where Osiris kind of more saw the need for a more aggressive approach. In addition, the two disagreed as to the greatest threat. The Speaker kind of focused and saw the movements of the hive above on the moon as more ominous and more direct threat, while Osiris grew more and more concerned with the machinations of the Vex upon Mercury. The other thing that Osiris did is he did not restrict his new power as Vanguard commander to just the search of knowledge. He was also in search of understanding and learning of the exact nature of the darkness. Knowledge can be acquired simply through mindless research of text and studies of others. True understanding requires one to ask hard questions and find answers to those questions. And that's what Osiris began to do. Osiris began asking hard questions and trying to find the answers. This ultimately led him down a path which diverged him and other Guardians from their normal duties, which in turn led to a very powerful disagreement between him and the Speaker, culminating in Osiris leaving the tower in exile following his repeated shirking of political duties in favor of pursuing his research. We saw that in particular within the webcomic, which, we can all disagree or agree or whatever we want. We all have opinions on how that was presented. But that was what was happening in the webcomic, was basically he kept shirking his political duties because he saw political actions as a waste of time when the battle was needing to be fought. And so because of that conflict between him and the Speaker and between him and the consensus, he basically was forced out, if you will. However, it is worth noting that within Trials and Tribulations, we do see Osiris defending the Vanguard and defending the consensus against the disciples. When Sister Feora makes a comment about, they'll get what's coming to them, Osiris is very quick to point out there is no acrimony between me and the Vanguard. I chose to walk away. Like, he's very quick to point to that and to basically reprimand the disciples, who he doesn't have a very high opinion of to begin with, but he's very, very quick to put them, to put that away, like shutter that up. And then he basically then proceeds to give them the task of monitoring the lighthouse, and also, researching stuff there. But I found that very interesting, because it does confirm that, I think, Taylor, you had said something about this earlier, about how, like, the more you read about Saint 14, it's like, yeah, Saint 14's kind of like, he doesn't really hold a grudge. Like, he just kind of, does what needs to be done.
Yo, he's the most wholesome dude in this whole lore.
Right?
He really is. And which makes me, which I love, because I think you were talking about, what is it, the maintenance log thing where Osiris kind of reprimands Saint 14 for not going to seek out the House of Light. And he's like, I don't want to talk to him. And Osiris is like, just go talk to him.
Just go talk to him.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, I think that if Saint would get over his understandable hesitation there and actually initiate a conversation with Mithrax, I think he and Mithrax would actually be, I don't know if they would be best buddies, but they would probably form a pretty good team.
Dude, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, he has this, he even in his own dialogue, he hates the Fallen, but he's such a good dude. Oh, I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good.
I didn't mean to do that. But he's such a good freaking dude. Because on ours you can curse, so sorry. Mm-hmm. But he's such a good freaking dude. Like, I feel like he's not mad at the Vanguard. He was able to leave the Vanguard, like, at least as far as we know, without the Vanguard having any animosity to him, and he's the only person who's been able to do that, unless they died.
Well, he didn't exactly leave the Vanguard. He disappeared in some,
but just Saint? Like Blue was going over, he gave up his position.
No, Saint walked away. Because
Saint stepped down? Okay.
Yeah, he stepped down. But he stepped down because, which I find that, like, I find that really entertaining, because Saint basically was the one that everyone wanted in the position of all this stuff, and Osiris was the one that no one wanted in position, and Osiris ends up, and actually, to be 100% transparent, Osiris also didn't really want to be in that position. Like, no. And the thing is like, that's what I think a lot of people gloss over is like, with the Concordat and their whole fascination of Osiris being a failed Golden Age experiment, and that whole slander campaign against him.
Right. Here's
a lot of people. It's like Osiris legitimately wasn't interested in the politics, and that's ultimately what got him kicked out, was because he didn't want to play the game.
I think it's within the realm of possibility that if you go back to the argument that the Concordat's making, right? He's a failed Golden Age experiment. I think now more than ever that is possible that the writers might go that direction.
I mean, if he's a resurrected failed Golden Age experiment, like an engineered human or what have you, like this is not to say I suspect that everyone listening and here right now. I'm just saying, like, that's an example of something that could be like what they may have meant, how the writers choose to use it. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot there. Like, I kind of hashtagged when we started sympathy for Lysander, because that's one of our topics that we have on the list over on the other show. But it's definitely interesting that Osiris left the Vanguard, but he did it under this like big cloud, big negative cloud, right?
Right.
There's a lot that like came with that, whereas Saint was able to do it no problem.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, and so the other thing that always bugs me about Lysander is actually like, so I want more detail on what is causing the beef between the two of them, which actually begs the question. Like, all the faction reps that we have are all mortal. They're not risen. Is Lysander a risen? I can't remember. In Lysander's cry, did we get any indication if he was or not?
I don't think we got any
because
indication.
I'm sitting there and I'm sitting here, and the only reason I bring that up is because I'm like, why is he like he definitely has a chip on his shoulder when it comes to Osiris. It seems that way from what we've seen so far. And I'm like,
I mean, if
why?
I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, go for it.
I will put out there that the chip on his shoulder that we've heard about has only come from other sources, never from him.
This is true.
In his letter to us, he never talks about Osiris. He in anything that he's directly written, he never even mentions him.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a fair point.
This may just be more of a power struggle that may be something more political rather than detrimental.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I would expect him to have more of a problem with New Monarchy than with Osiris.
Oh man, I won't go into my New Monarchy theories.
Someday we shall.
I won't. No. You're a gracious host. I won't offend you with my ideas.
You're good. And someday we will go into those. Maybe not this day, but someday.
It will not be this day.
We've already recorded an episode on it on my show. So.
Oh really? Oh. I better go defend my honor.
Well, it only depends. You're only defending it depending on your political leanings. Like, you might agree.
Oh, yeah, that episode.
Fair.
That was a good episode, actually. I remember that episode.
I mean, I hope they're all good, but thank you.
No, yes, they are.
I'm teasing. I know what you meant.
But I remember that episode because I remember listening to it, and I'm like, yes, like this is an important distinction that regardless of how you whatever side you lean on as far as the multifaceted
faction wars or whatever.
Well, it's not even faction war. I mean, just political spectrum in general. But like the definitions that like you and Bagels did with when you say fascist, when you say this, that whole thing. It's like that was and definitely worth it.
I really appreciate that, and we tried to be very very specific in that. But back to Lysander and that stuff. I think after all we've learned about the speaker and subsequently, I feel like anything that comes out of his mouth can until at least from a couple other sources that you trust in game in the narrative. I feel like that can all be taken as propaganda because we know that's what he spins.
Yeah, I mean it's yeah.
So, him hating Lysander to me after all that we've learned, I'm kind of like, ooh, maybe he wasn't such a bad dude.
now that some more cards are on the table, maybe we are necessary.
Yeah, maybe he had something there.
Maybe. All right. So, how do we want to? Do we want to talk about his before he gets to the city? Because you guys kind of hinted a little bit about that. his story within Trials and Tribulations, but we didn't actually talk about Pigeon and the Phoenix at all. Or do we want to wait until
I'd
the
say
advanced episode?
let's do an analysis, because the timeline. I love saying this about a Bungie game. The timeline's actually a little bit clearer when it comes to Osiris with the Pigeon, the Phoenix, and Trials and Tribulation. There's a few things that got a little murkier as far as like specific events, but overall, we have actually a pretty interesting picture that has been painted for Osiris. And I'm actually really excited about that, because that was part of the reason I updated the mind map, was to lay out a bit of that clarity, because it's like we actually kind of know what's going on. It's really, really exciting. But I think that would probably be, I think that's probably going to be more advanced episode or advanced session.
I dig that.
All right, so shout outs for the intro session.
Taylor, do you have any shout outs?
I want to give a shout out to back on my show, my co-host The Bagels. I want to give a shout out to you guys for hosting me, and the Greater Lore Network for just being so supportive and so great with all of our efforts. I think
I like the Greater Lore Network.
Thank you.
Sorry, marketing scheme coming up.
I have a customer service background. I know. you got to mark all your bases. But anyway, very, very seriously, I do really thank you guys. I'm very proud to be a part of the Lore Network. I'm very proud to be associated with your show and to be a guest host on here. So, like, all of my thanks and shout outs go right back to you.
Yeah, thank you. Blue, do you have any shout outs?
Anyone who is going to respond to my really weird asinine questions about dialogue quotes on the website, which you will probably, by the time this comes out, you will probably be used to seeing me posting very often about them. I'm trying my best to figure out a way that both encapsulates the total, like the sheer number of quotes that we have for characters, that currently there's really not a archive anywhere in a text sense, but I'm also trying to make it where it's actually not overly daunting for people who just want to see what the characters are saying in like in-game cutscenes and stuff, which is a very weird medium, or a very weird line to try to walk. So I posted that actually tonight, which by the time you guys are hearing this episode will be a week or two. But I will be probably following up with other alternatives and just trying to get a feel for how to best use the Lore Network site to accomplish that. But just big thank you for anyone who has opinions on that and who's already provided or will be providing constructive feedback on how to do that better.
I have two questions for you, Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, this is episode 200, yeah?
Yep.
Dude, happy 200 episodes, everyone.
Like,
my wife was like, "So episode 200 is going to be Osiris?" I was like, "Yes." She's like,
"It's rather
I like
poetic."
that. I'm like, I like that symmetry of that. She didn't understand that, but I thought it was nice.
You were right, though.
I know. I was like, I like that symmetry, and I kind of chuckled to myself and then walked away because she didn't understand
it. I really like that. No, like, super honored to be on your 200th episode. By the way, like, that's amazing. But like, so like that's an effort, and if everyone listening just gives you guys like a little clap, you deserve it. You deserve it.
That is awesome. I want recorded claps on Twitter. No,
recorded
I don't.
Claps,
don't do that. Please don't do that. Please.
No, do it. She asked for it. Wait, that's weird. Don't record me as saying that. She
clip it.
No.
Yeah, no.
And Taylor now figures out the dangers of streaming.
Right?
I know. I can never take it back. We've been a record game this whole time. My second question for you would the term for someone that invested and knowledgeable about dialogue be like a dialogian, like a theologian, but with dialogue?
I like that.
I have mixed feelings. I have mixed feelings about it. Because it's a dialogian.
Dialogian.
Diet.
It just rolls off the tongue.
Does it? Like longes. I can't ever say it.
Lozenges?
Thank you. That's one word I actually have a real tough time
just
to
say
say.
cough drop, buddy. Don't torture yourself.
I mean, I try. Anyway.
I'm totally looking this up.
Shout outs.
If it's a word.
I'm totally looking this up to see if it's already
Yo, if I coined it.
It is.
Merriam-Webster. It's a
word? It is a word. It is
I'm not crazy.
Whoa. Calm down there.
In this case.
In this case, yeah. It's a not oh man. This is gonna go down a rabbit hole of it's a genitive singular form of dialogi, which is a nominative plural of dialogus, which is meaning
as one does.
Yeah, obviously. Dialogi is dialogue or dialogue. So technically
I think all right, so in those instances where like you come up with something independently of something that was already had been come up, I just want to note that right now.
It's finished. So I don't know if it's actually the word that it's spelled the way that you would spell it.
I'm just saying, like, I independently came up and coined.
I get credit for this.
Well, it's like an honorable mention, really. It's
an honorable mention.
Yeah, it's like when two peoples come up with like ancient warfare. Like they both did it without the influence of the other, but the one did it first.
It might become a thing. I mean, there's so many things from this show and like just streamers and stuff like that have become legit things in game. You think about Bungie has the freaking crayon joke. In Bungie, they talk about crayons. They said it in one of the promos for the Guardian Games events. One of the Titans mentioned it. Like,
Bungie is number one in games that I've played that interact with their player base.
Right.
So I totally love it.
Yeah, they are, I would argue, probably up there with second to none as far as
Spinfoil.
Spinfoil.
The only other company is of Titanfall fame. So without plugging other companies.
Right. But that's what I mean is like they listen to us. Okay. Your dialogian may actually become a thing in Bungie. You may become the next Cran.
Dude, if Warlocks become if Warlocks have a dialogian subclass, I am totally here for it.
That
all they do is orate. They don't actually attack anything.
They're the bard. They're the bard.
No, they're not that rhythmic. They're more.
They're not that rhythmic.
So they're Rand Paul? What? No.
Oh no.
I don't know.
Oh man, Green. What about you? Shoutouts.
Shoutouts to the community. Like right now, you may not seem like it's a big thing because everyone's a little salty. But shoutouts to the community for like raising so much money during these Bungie bounties that are going on for the COVID research, and just people who are reaching out to others right now when they're not necessarily that kind of person. They're not going to reach out to people. They don't feel like they can any other time, and now they can. People are making themselves more available. So shout out to you guys, the Destiny community, our community, just for being the awesome yous that you are, because that is great grammar. But, shout out to you guys. Blue, you want to take us home?
Mm-hmm. So I want to again thank you for your time, and until next time, remember, with wisdom we conquer, stand strong, stand tall, and keep exploring. With that, we'll begin to wrap the chat up. Thank you again to those over on Twitch for coming to spend your evening with us. If you'd like to join us for the live streaming of the episodes, please be sure to give us a follow over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. Links to all our episode archives can be found at www.thelorenetwork.com. Please be sure to email us at focusfirechat@gmail.com with any comments and or questions for the team concerning the podcast, and let us know how we're doing by giving us some feedback and a rating over on iTunes as well. So until next time, focus your fire and may your light shine bright.